I'm having a slow day at work, so I want to talk about some notes I made for a possible RPG I'm working on. The tentative title of the game is Draig, which is Draig, of course, is Welsh for dragon, and Ryder is the name of my second favorite moving van company. That's my story, I'm sticking with it. So just tossing out some ideas. Tell me what you think about these different rules, concepts. And it's a level class system, so it's D&D. And then, it's a level class D&D-ish system. It's not OSR per se, because it doesn't really deal with a lot of the older stuff. What I'm doing is taking different concepts from all sorts of games and merging them in together. So, sticking with I don't want to say it's a 5th edition base. This is a completely from the ground up type of game. So anything I refer to D&D, just imagine it's all the different versions, taking the best from each. So the first idea was, and these are not all going into the game. If they don't work, they don't work. But these are just initial concepts. Instead of just doing the advantage disadvantage, it's going to be you have certain. The problem with advantage disadvantage is there's rarely any modifiers. There's no +1, +2, or whatever, unlike other games. So this one, the bonuses or penalties can go up to 5. After that, it flips to a reroll. So instead of like +6 and on, it's advantage, but you still get a +5 to the roll. This means you can modify things slightly, but if you get too much of a bonus, rather than capping it out at like some enormous level, you get the +5, and then if you fail, you get to re-roll it and try to succeed. If you're at a -5 and you somehow succeed, you have to re-roll it and then see if you succeed a second time. So basically, if you have a -5, you have to succeed twice. All right, the next one is probably the most original idea we had. Well, me and my wife. When you're building your class, there's going to be like internal feats rather than like subclass abilities. So a fighter has 5 abilities, just to throw out a number, but you don't get them all at the same time. So you get to like level 1 and you're a fighter, you pick one of those 5 abilities. If you get to level 2, you pick the second of the abilities. And there's going to be more abilities, but that way you're building your subclass as you go and you can mix and match. It's a concept. I don't know if it's going to work well. It might be easy to power game, but it's something I'm going to try, because that means you can build what you want from what's provided for you. So if you're a paladin, you can start off with your spellcasting, or you can start off with your immunities. You can start off with your oh god, what was it? Your lay on hand. You can start off with, I guess, a smite ability, but you pick one, and then the second one you get to build it. What this lets me do is I can add these later, and you can get more than you can pick and choose from. The next one is the grappling rules. I'm stealing the grappling rules from the Street Fighter RPG, because they're the only ones that really did it right. And it keys in with the fact that this is going to be a weapon. There's a proficiency system where you try to grapple someone and you roll to hit, and then once you do that, they're grappled. They lose. Grappling actually has effects in this game, because in 5th edition, if you grapple someone, they can still attack you. They can still cast spells. All grappling does is reduce their move to 0, which if they're trying to stab you, that's not a problem. There's no restraint at all. So what happens is you roll your grapple, they try to roll their escape, and if you beat them, you deal the difference in the rolls in damage. Now this is capped at a low level, or like half your strength, unless you get your proficiency in grappling up to a certain level, in which case that removes the cap. And then you can only grapple somebody for a number of rounds equal to your grappling bonus, which they're eventually going to squirm out. But that gives grapplers actually something to do. Okay, the skill system is a change from the rule cyclopedia, which is it's the Andre the Giant / Mary Lou Retton system, where your skill automatically starts out at your stat level. So if you have a strength of 12 and you take like lifting or bend bars, that skill is at 12. So when you roll your test, average is say 10. So you want to roll a 50-50 chance. So you're trying to hit like a 21, though I may change that to 20 just because it's easier. But 10, and you have to roll a 10 to succeed. It's going to be a little bit higher numbers, but it's a lot easier to explain. And the reason why you would start at high numbers if you have a high strength or whatever, is the Andre the Giant. It's not my fault I'm the biggest and the strongest. I don't even exercise. Andre the Giant does not have to practice as much to be able to lift people up compared to you or I. And Mary Lou Retton did not have to practice nearly as much as you would to do a backflip. And you get so many skills every so many levels, and you can put them into your skills again, or you can buy new skills, and you get a +1. So if you're at an 18, you get a skill, you get a 19. So high level characters are going to be succeeding on those things, or high level stats will be succeeding on those things a lot more often. But it's kind of intended that way. I don't know if that's going to work, but that's the way we're going to do it. Proficiency system is the primary way we're going to be doing things, rather than just having a basic attack bonus that always goes up, or proficiency bonus that goes up as you level. This one, you have to choose your weapon style and your weapon proficiency and your fighting style. And those give you your extra attacks. Those give you your damage bonuses. So if you're a proficient in the longsword, if you have a level 3 proficiency out of 5, you get an additional attack. If you have a sword and board fighting style and you get to level 3, you get an additional attack. So if you're sword and board fighting with a longsword, you get 3 attacks. That's the way it goes. I'm working on a lot of different stuff. Berserkering, like Frenzy or Berserk is going to be a fighting style now. You'll get extra attacks if you're frenzying. So there's not going to be that barbarian class that I loathe. Okay. Number 6 is feat-based multi-class. Rather than this is being stolen straight from Arcanum, and Arcanum had the ability to purchase other. You could spend experience points to purchase other classes' abilities. And what this is, you have like I mentioned, you have your class feats that are going to be all internalized. A lot of them will have a lesser secondary version that is only available to other classes that they can purchase as a feat. So fighters have the feat where they can get up to level 5 in proficiency. The secondary specialization is you can get a proficiency in any weapon, and you can get up to level 2 proficiency. So what this does is, say you're a cleric and you want to be really good with a warhammer. You can only get up to proficiency level 1. You can spend your feat to get to a higher proficiency with a warhammer by spending the half feat, or buying the feat at half strength from the fighter class. Yeah, so that's an idea. Like I said, I don't know if that's going to work, but that's the initial concept. We're going to be expanding out the stats so that they all have different abilities or further things. Because like intelligence right now is the super dump stat. But if intelligence lets you at higher levels concentrate on more spells or summon more monsters, that would be a thing. Also we're going to calculate everything out, because that's something that always annoyed me. It was like, okay, well, here's this mathematical formula you can do. Just put it in a chart and do the math for them. The best games always front load the math. So if your carry weight is your strength times your constitution plus 10, have a chart that lets you cross-reference all of that, and then you can just fill it out. You don't have to, that way you do the math for them. But yeah, we're working on new ideas for what to do with the different abilities to try to get things out. So that way you're not just In 5th edition, the problem with abilities is they're only good every other level. In 3rd edition, the odd levels were the prerequisites for the feats. In this one, everything will have, it'll be more like 2nd edition. Every level of your attribute gives you certain abilities. And we're going to be coming up with new abilities. Okay, the next one I haven't, number 7, number 8. This one I'm not really sure about, but we're throwing it out for ideas. There's going to be an initiative die, and it's going to be up and down in steps, and it's also going to be based on your weapon speed and like your skill modifier. And what you do is you roll your initiative die, and let's say it starts at a 8, a D8. So everybody rolls a D8. If you have a quick weapon, it's got a weapon modifier. It's got an initiative modifier of 1, so those guys roll a D10. If you have a high dexterity, it goes up to a D20. It's an idea but everybody has to keep track of the die. And spells will be like low-level spells will be a class, will give you an advantage to initiative. High-level spells give you a penalty to initiative because it takes longer to cast higher-level spells, with a few exceptions. Like power words, they're automatically quick. It's one word. Also, getting rid of damaging cantrips and healing. Well, there are no healing cantrips, though they say. But yeah, damaging cantrips will be gone. Wizards will need to be casting spells. We're also increasing the number of spells a wizard can get, because capping them slowly they're capped really low. Let me see. Number 9, the concept of consumables. This is why removing damaging cantrips, because it's pretty much everybody goes to the best ones and then spams them. That's it's every time we've played it, it's always like, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. I cast firebolt, 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 firebolt. Is there a spell that we can actually use? Then I'll cast an actual spell, but otherwise I'm just going to keep spamming things over and over again. The idea for consumables is the party has to keep track of things, but rather than keep tracking each one, you have it's just going to be you have enough food for 2 weeks, so that way you can you just keep track of all of the party's food. Arrows will be purchased, every single one. You have enough arrows to last the adventure. Then it's not just all editions. I'm stealing from other games as well, gladly. So far, I've stolen from Street Fighter and Arcanum. One thing with the consumables is certain classes, especially the survival classes like Rangers, have bonuses to the consumables. And I know everybody was going, is like, well, nobody's going to keep track of the consumables. If the Ranger has an ability that lets him get a bonus on using consumables, he's going to remind the DM about the consumables. It's an abstract concept that we're working on, but it seemed to have been working out pretty good thanks to the Ranger having only having to spend a consumable every other day, at least for that. But that way you don't have to keep track of all. You have arrows at the end of the adventure. You buy more arrows. You have certain things like the kind of like the grenade system from the 40 or the Death Watch line, where you spend this amount and you have all the grenades you need. Okay, and the last one is monster components, and this one was kind of thrown in because everybody's like, well, we need monster components. Monster components aren't going to be they're going to be more generic. If you kill a monster like a common monster, you get common components. If you kill a legendary monster, you get legendary components. And if you're trying to build something, they have a recipe, and you have to have all of those components. It's easier. You don't have to keep track of things. Certain monsters you'll have to kill specifically, but in general, everything will be get off me, bug. Everything will be a little bit more toned down to make it easier to keep track of. Trying to make the game more complicated than 5th edition, which isn't hard, but I'm also trying to avoid the complication that was first edition. So tell me what you think about those ideas. I'm actually getting told to get back to work. Hope you guys like the scenic skyline. I gotta find another place to shoot because this skyline's kind of boring. But all right, I am getting back to work, so peace out, homies.